back. We'll give it a second. We have lost the recording.
Is it still? I was just about to ask.
Yeah, it looks like you're back now, Mark, I think.
Yep, no, the recording was corrupted, unfortunately, so I'll have to go to the YouTube the YouTube VOD will have to be the recording. But we are back. And so I will record again. There's something going on. There must be something going on with Streamlabs that caused the whole computer to crash. That's not good. Oh, that's not good. But hey, we're back. We'll let everybody go and back. But yeah, so that's kind of the basis of Crevasse. I don't know when we jumped out, but I think we were talking about Crevasse. When did I jump out, guys? What was I
think you're talking about the Defender. You're talking about the Defender Z fight.
Yeah.
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 So outcharge you.
Yeah. So yeah, they outcharge you. Their big thing, if they get their max force time, is they will regenerate HP. Which if you don't have enough damage, they will heal up, and that's a real pain in the ass. They do pretty good damage though, so you need to be careful about their AoE attacks and everything else. The other fight is the Death Gazes. That's number 7, and they can be a pain in the butt because they do a lot of big HP attacks. They have some, I think, some resistances. Excuse me. Yeah, they have the big debuffs that they can constantly put when their thresholds. They put HP poison on you, and Brave gain down and turn rate down. They get turn rate up and speed up for themselves regularly. Yeah, they start ignoring HP damage mitigation. They do extra Brave damage as they get more powerful. Yeah, when they hit 100, they ignore all Brave and HP damage reduction, and they have consecutive turns and free turns and kill you. Yeah. But you can kind of get around it with like Setzer Call, Raging Call, a lot of different things that are easy to kind of mitigate there. But they're fairly challenging fights if you try to go full 3-3 teams. If you're not concerned about that, and you don't have to get max score, of course, to get all of the rewards. I don't know quite what, I think maybe 225, is that what you need for all of the rewards? But you certainly don't need 442. I think you only need 350 if you don't care about the like 9 tickets.
Yes, 350 is all the meaningful rewards.
Yeah. Yeah, so 350 for all the meaningful rewards, and yeah, then it's up from there. You can get 9 more tickets, and then, you know, max scores 442. But yeah, so I'll just pass it to you guys. If you want to talk about any of these fights in particular, you want to talk about the event in general. So Poto, kind of what are your thoughts on Crevasse? How have you taken it? What have you done? All that kind of stuff.
I have not 100% done Crevasse yet, but just like I've been doing the like the teams that you've been seeing everywhere, like the triple green, triple unique with Renoa, Cam, and COD, the same ones you have on your screen. I'm just trying to. I don't have Arden greened or blued, so that's my biggest issue at the moment. The one thing I'm most thankful for Crevasse being here is hopefully Black Cloud will remember what Crevasse is this time. But
yeah, it's not Equinox.
It's not. It's not Abyss.
It's not Abyss. I probably could not have told you what Crevasse was before we had this.
Just like teasing like DC. But to me, any original content is a win for me. It doesn't matter if it's Abyss, Equinox. To me, if it wasn't in JP, it's a bonus. Joe, do you have anything to add about it?
Yeah, I'm a fan of anything with lockout because I love events that get me to dive into my deeper roster more. So for example, on one of the Shinryu fights, I broke out Kater, and I really love Kater. I think Kater is an underrated character. She force charges, she dodge counters, very, very fun character. So I had some little fun with Kater. Now, I have to redo some of my, so I've beaten it all, but I have to redo my Shinryu fights because I kind of forgot to put the code on for the force time, so I lost a bunch of points that I could have gotten. So I get to, I'm making my own Dare to Defy. I'm going to do those Shinryus twice, right?
Do them twice.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to talk about Dare to Defy later, but I would say Crevasse, it's not my favorite event out of like the lockouts, but I still really like it because it does have lockouts. The one thing I wish, and I know they do this intentionally because they want you to use certain characters, but I wish all the weapon types had codes. Because there's so many times I wanted codes for like fist or dagger or something. Or, if you really like Rydia and Quistis and you want a whip code, like just stuff like that. I just wish there was more codes for weapons, but I get why they limit you because they want to sell you the new characters and they want to use their weapon types, right? But overall, it's a very fun event and I very much enjoyed it.
I think there's a couple ways to do. Now you can choose whether you do your green specials or your yellow swords on 6 or 7, and potentially you could do green sword, yellow special. There's some variations if you want to try to do the 3 and 3. That being said, obviously if you're trying to do the 3 and 3, for me I did Renoa, Cam, Cloud of Darkness, I did Arden, Ramza, and Bartz. Much easier if you have them all green, if you have the FRs for at least one of those characters, and if you have their force gauges all the way, their force enhancements all the way taken care of. So Destroth, Excalibur's got good infographics, of course, on Macnol's website, also on Twitter, and Excalibur has their own YouTube as well. But on our information page or information channel on our Discord. And Destroth has a good guide for how he did it and kind of walks through the different setups. I shared mine. You can come on our Discord. We have a whole thing that Poto's set up for Crevasse. You can see how everybody did it. You probably do, if you have questions like how somebody used a team. Calls really do help in some of these fights. Like I said, against the Death Gazes, Setzer's call is a huge win. I actually brought Lena's call to avoid getting the debuff, so I didn't have to worry about that. But did anyone do Black Greatsword? I'm not sure that I saw. Well, I did Black Greatsword on Lufania. Cloud, Zach, and Gladio are the Black Greatsword. I don't know that I've seen anybody do 3 and 3 on the Shinryu. So I'm not sure that we have a... do we have a Black Greatsword FR user at the moment? What would be Black... let me
I can look too. Let me see
so
here.
Greatsword. So that is one of... You can do 3 Black and 3 Greatsword. Yeah, so I mean, you do have Garland, Squall, you have Zach, and Caius and Jagran as your BT plus, Orin and Gladio. So you have a lot of tanks.
Yeah, a ton of tanks.
I don't know that I've seen on the Shinryu's 3 and 3 with the Greatsword. I would think the damage output would be tough. But because the Death Gazes don't care about mitigation, I'm not sure that the tanks will be able to overcome it. So
I think
there's no FRs. Yeah, there's no FRs too, so that makes it tough.
And I tried a tank comp on Defender Z's, and they can't keep up with the healing.
Yeah,
especially
the healing's
if you don't have an FR.
tough. Yeah.
You can't keep up with their healing.
Bosch is an option for the yellow sword, but again, the Death Gazes kill him, and the Defender Z's, he's not doing enough damage potential to out damage them. So yeah. But yeah, that's why there's 2 for the green and the yellow. Yeah. There's only 2 Shinryus, and then you can use the other 3 and 3 on the Lufanias. The Lufanias are, I mean, Lufania that I didn't use an FR. If you bring any FR to a Lufania or a Chaos, it's immediately a joke. It's one shot, for a Chaos or below. I think for Cosmos, you just hit the FR button and the boss is dead. Chaos, you're not getting 2 or 3 turns into an FR because you start with the FR gauge. But Lufania, I mean, it's, even without FRs, but with level 90 characters with BT pluses, Lufania is just not particularly challenging. So just kind of some general discussion over Crevasse here. I enjoy having different content, so I'm glad we have this content. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have GL exclusive content or GL first content that JP didn't get. It's good to have extra content, so I'm never going to complain about that. It's not my favorite content. I actually like D2D more. And I like Equinox. I think Equinox has really been my favorite of the special contents. I probably like Abyss a little bit more than Crevasse. The one thing I'll say about specifically, and I have some other people input here, but the one thing I'll say that the one reason I really like Dare to Defy more than Crevasse is because Dare to Defy is kind of over an entire month, where Crevasse was really just a couple hours of my time. So Crevasse is really an event. And so, yes, there are 7 stages, but it's really just 2 stages, and then you figure out the rest pretty easily. But it took a couple hours for me to beat Crevasse. Whereas D2D was kind of extended over an entire month, kind of made you feel like there's constantly extra content, something to do. Whereas this is, I played it for a couple hours, and now I'm not going to play the game really again for 4 or 5 days, which is fine. Like, that's not a problem. But, you know, in terms of just the amount of content. But a couple folks have some input here. I already mentioned Excalibur and Destroth, but they have some comments that I wanted to share. Excalibur says, I like the code mechanics. It's fun building it around and encourages a wide use of roster and characters. The overall concept, I think, is good. The only thing that could potentially rebalance the stage levels to fit the current meta, just really talking about they're not challenging all of them. So, Destroth says, in terms of fun, I think Crevasse is more fun than D2D. Planning the crystal and weapon, and for the veteran, we can push the score further, which is fun. But D2D honestly should be permanent event, easy to implement, and added difficulty for veterans. So, thank you there. And I do have one more from Trevoid. So Trevoid prefers Crevasse over and prefers Equinox Abyss, I believe, over D2D. And so I wanted to give Trevoid a moment here. Trevoid says, the core of my preference for events such as Equinox or Crevasse compared to Dare to Defy is that Dare to Defy is something that can be self-imposed. So we can do Dare to Defy on our own pretty easily, while the other campaigns require developer involvement. Excuse me. Well, there are some benefits to having D2D with official implementation. We can have the gameplay experience simply by doing a self-imposed challenge. Crevasse and Equinox provide us as players with new experience that we can't get otherwise, and in Crevasse's case, force us to use teams that we typically would not use. I acknowledge that this is arbitrary. This restriction on units won't be for everyone's taste, especially those who really enjoy the amount of player expression awarded by the Force era. However, I think diversity of play experience is fine, change of pace occasionally, even if the implementation is a bit heavy-handed. For those advocating for D2D to return, an issue that will arise, and I think this is a great point, is that we get further into this era, is that most of the fights will not match the level of our roster, and we will continue to grow said roster over time. A return to D2D will not be the same as the first one, where we had incentive to pull, since we have much better, we have more FRs, etc. For people who aim to acquire the max score in a system like Crevasse, however, there's a very strong incentive to invest in units you weren't planning to invest, like Arden. Crevasse, to me, got me to purchase a BT and a high Power Stone bundle to max Arden. D2D would not have done that, getting me to pull for units that I would not have otherwise pulled. I consider a sign of a good event. D2D doesn't have that impact anymore. I will say this, potentially against that argument, that end argument. I think with the elemental lockout, yeah, J.A says, Trevoid says his things would be short. Well, they were somewhat short. Concise, that's concise. Potentially with elemental lockouts, it could be very challenging. A D2D could be very challenging. I think there would be months D2D would not be challenging at all, but with some potential elemental lockouts, that could be very challenging. We'll see. Yeah, but no, I agree. As Mino says, Trevoid's opinions weren't terrible, and I agree. I think they were were very good and very valid. So that's my opinion, and that's some other content creators. But Poto, what are your opinions on? Did you like Crevasse? Crevasse versus D2D. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, in kind of like to iterate what I said earlier, bonus content is bonus content. Like, in a perfect world, I think we should have Dare to Defy every month. And I think it would be amazing if we could just have an event that would combine Crevasse and Dare to Defy, because for me personally, the biggest fallback of Crevasse is that there's only 2 Shinryu events. If all 7 fight, I think that would be one way more of a challenge. It would be a lot funner to just easily put, okay, I'm going to do my 3 crystals and 3 weapon types on the hardest difficulty because that's giving me the highest point system. It would be a lot funner to mix and match where you're putting each unit, because every fight would be more tailored towards a certain unit type. And I think that diversity would be amazing. So I really think I'm personally in the camp where Dare to Defy is the better event, but they could both be improved upon if Squex would listen to the community. But that is unfortunately the biggest issue. We know they like to steal from Tree Void. So hopefully Josh is over here reading that essay that he made you read on stream. But I just want the game to succeed is really the final point. Joe, what are your thoughts on the subject?
Yeah, I really like Dare to Defy. I like Crevasse and Dare to Defy because, like I said, content, like you said, content is content, but I love lockout content. So lockout content's even better for me. I think with Dare to Defy, I think it hit some people wrong at first. And what made it so challenging was that it was at the beginning of the FR era. So you almost had to be pulling like every banner to like really keep up with it. And that made the event seem really greedy to players. And that was like the big complaint, was that they said it was a very greedy tactic, right? So I want them to bring it back so players can see what it's like when you have a larger roster of FR weapons. And as Trevoid was saying, that yes, it's going to get easier because we have more FR weapons. I think that's a good thing because it's going to bridge the gap of the people that hate it, but then the people that liked it will still enjoy it. It's still good extra content. And as Mark mentioned, they can tie it with lockouts and still, it doesn't mean every FR can be used, right? So you can still somewhat limit, still encourage people to pull, still have more FR options, because something I've shown in a video is you can power through elemental lockout if you have the right units. My ultimate defense comp is it's Gladio, Core, and Gao, and I crushed that thing on an elemental lockout because of just pushing the gauge up and all the brave gains. It's kind of crazy. So I like D2D, and like Poto said, I wish it was just every month and it was just always there. And if people want to do it, they can do it. And people that hate it, you don't have to do it. It's extra rewards. Remember, guys, any new content, any exclusive content, that is all rewards on top of what we normally get. So I don't know. You can't complain about extra rewards when, I don't know. It just drove me crazy that some people were complaining about Dare to Defy so much and they want to go away. And they're literally just taking away free rewards. Like, if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. So anyways, I don't want to get ranty. Like, we ranted about that in the past, but I love Dare to Defy. I want it. Bring it back, please. Please, please, please.
Well, thank you. And let us know what you think. Again, I like this event. You didn't have to do max score, but it was a little pull to win if you wanted to, or upgrade, more upgrade to win than pull to win if you wanted to get max score and make sure you had all those BTs, which I did. You didn't have to do that to get it, which is okay. But yeah, let us know and continue to talk about it, and that's good. Hey, some podcast questions for the day, and now let me jump there. Yeah, podcast questions. We did host discussion first, but let's do some podcast questions. Infamous Element asks, I'm going to save Blartanian's original one for Mino and myself. Now that we've had quite a few FRs, which do you consider the best and worst FR? So I'm taking that just as what's the best FR in your opinion? what's the worst FR. So I would say best FR in my opinion is Renoa. Self-sufficient, huge damage up, easy to use, etc. The worst FR I would say is Kane's. Is awful. Kane's really good. His FR is garbage. Poto, what do you think?
I will 100% agree with you on the worst FR. Kane's is, like, especially looking at today's standards, pathetic. I really hope that when he does eventually get his proper rework in JP, that they'll fix his numbers because he needs it very badly. But for me, the best FR up to date is Cam FR, because I know everybody has just done the Cam cheese for the first 3 months, right? That's what everybody's been doing, right?
Yeah, well, Nidre, I know specifically. Is Nidre still here?
He'll listen back to this and he'll be happy. He'll be happy for the name drop. Joe, what are your answers?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kane is a pretty obvious pick for worst one, and obviously as the first FR, it's the weakest. Pretty much, I would say anything that came out before Cam are in the tier of the worst, because Cam's basically glitch brought all FRs to a new level. So anything before Cam is going to be your worst. And then, you know, when you're looking at like Tifa and Renoa, like, yeah, you can say they're the best because they're tied to the best DPS characters and they allow them to do more damage. But I would like to shout out like Aerith and Aroha, just because they're so basic and easy to use. I like them as very flexible FRs, and I think there is some value in that as well. So I would shout those out for really good ones.
Great answers. Yeah, we already talked about this, I think, in terms of Rivik asking about the events, but he does have a follow-up question. Are there any FRs you regret missing, and why is it Desh? I do. If I had Desh, I could have used him in this event. I don't have him. I really regret having Desh. Poto, is there any FRs you regret not pulling or not having at your disposal?
Currently, who am I missing as an FR? I am missing Dash as well. So, as usual, RVK never misses. But I'm gonna switch the answer around and say my most regretted pull was Kane's FR. I wish I didn't pull that FR and maxed it.
Yeah.
What is your worst opinion or worst FR, Joe?
So I don't think I have an FR that I regret not getting, because I pulled very heavy on FRs early on, and I've pulled all the characters I've wanted, and the ones I've skipped, I've 100% known what they do, known that I'm probably not going to use them that much, and I was okay skipping them. So I really have no regrets, and I can't even regret the old bad FRs, because at the time they were very good, and I really needed them for the original Dare to Defy. So I really
100%.
don't have any regrets either way.
Yeah. Very good. Very important question from the shock jock of Defo, Raw Life himself, Mr. Raw Life now that he's married, he's Mr. Raw Life. Who is the best person in the community and why? Obviously, our moderator with the most J.A is the best person in the community because he's the scariest and you don't want to get him upset. Who is the worst person in the community? I've never been a fan of Elon Musk in Defo community. He's just really full of himself. He's always shooting off rockets and, just a blowhard. Try hard, blow hard. Poto, who's your favorite Defo community member?
Well, this is a very easy question. I don't even know why Raw decided to ask this, but I am actually contracted to say that Mark from TCC is my favorite person in this community.
Thank you. I didn't pay you anything to say that because you're an intern.
But easily the worst person in this community, and I may not have a camera, but look at me while I'm saying this, because if you're listening to this, not a single person would be sad if you left this game not a single person would care. My pick is Gray Plus.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you are out of this community, people would celebrate.
Yeah, no, that's actually fair. Well, I don't know what that guy does with his time, but yeah, it's rough. Yeah.
Puts his phone down while you're using co-op.
That's pretty much what he does. He must have an extra phone that he just uses to troll people on co-op. Woo. Ouch. Joe, any favorite community members?
Well, Poto stole my thunder because Mark, you were going to be my pick for my favorite member of the community, but I will pick an alternate. And I'm going to shout out Cross 13 and Blind Eye. They're members of my Discord, and they make it a better place, and I enjoy having them in there. And my least favorite member of the community is every member who hates Dare to Defy. Get out of here. We need Dare to Defy. Get out of here, you guys. Come on.
Bad players.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's not my fault they have a skill issue. Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
So we got one more question. Crush. Given that it will take 2 or 3 years to finish giving everyone an FR, nearly 100 existing characters left to give FRs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, do the hosts see themselves staying around that long? Yeah, I mean, I think, I hope there will be some other types of weapons before that, before FRs, I hope for something else, obviously, or the game will get a little bit stale, but, it's not, whether I'm making content for the game is a different thing. Obviously, I've backed off myself just because of life. I've got just a lot going on right now. A ridiculous amount of things that have happened here in this last year, in my life personally, but all good thing, not all good things, but all, good where it is. Right. But the game doesn't really take any time, and I love the game and I love Final Fantasy. So, as long as the game's around, I'm not going to drop Defo. I drop other games all the time. I'm not really playing any other games besides Defo and Pokemon Go right now on my phone. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to drop Defo anytime soon. Cedar, what do you think?
For me, I'm not going to drop it anytime soon. I'm having too much fun, not only with the game, but with the community. I've never been a part of a gaming community like I have with Defo. Everybody's so amazing and welcoming, and it's just unbelievable how we just see everybody from every walks of life, and we just come together to enjoy this game. Which afterwards, this is actually a really good transition to our next question. But first, I'll let Joe answer.
Yeah, if 40's not enjoying it anymore as much, props to him for streaming what he wants to play. So I'm always going to do content on what I love, and I love Defo and Dokkan, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. And as Poto mentioned, part of what makes Defo so awesome is the community. I've never seen a gacha game, and if you think about on the level that Defo is, it is not on the level of, say, a game like Dokkan in terms of popularity and downloads or whatever, but the community is just as strong, if not stronger. I'll say this, Dokkan has one podcast and I host it, but in Defo, we've got all, in one official podcast as well, but we have pseudo podcasts, all these other shows that people do because they love the game so much. And that just is a shout out to the community. So yeah, love the game. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, we have a disproportionate amount of content creators for a game this size.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that is true.
I thought Dokkan was competitive, and wow, look at all these Defo content creators.
And that's okay. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I really think that's it for the night, and so I want to thank all of you for joining us. Thank you for jumping back on after my computer crashed unexpectedly. Always love that. Seems to just be my life, I guess. I want to give you guys a minute to kind of, how do we get a hold of you? Anything you want to shout out? But hopefully we'll be back next week. Squeck's community stream is this Monday, Halloween. So hopefully we're going to hear good news about what is to come next month for the pre-holiday season. So, Cedar, how can we get a hold of you? What are you doing online? What do you want to share today?
Best way to get a hold of me, join the TCC podcast Discord. I'm always on. I don't mind if you tag me for a question in our general help section, or if you just want to chat, just bring it to off topic channel and we'll have a good time. But I also I'm trying to get back into it, but I also do stream on Twitch occasionally, just nothing in particular, but that's usually my life. I'm going to shout out, as Joe mentioned, all the other talk shows every day of the week. Like, you have the light stream on Monday, then Historia Crux. I see crosses in chat on Tuesdays, and then either the Tree Void Hour or the Ranting Hour on Wednesdays, the Amazing Podcast on Thursdays, and unfortunately nobody's really taken the mantle for Fridays, but I don't think we need it.
I think sometimes Fireside Chat, which is once a month, sometimes does Fridays, but that's different times, different times depending on when they do it. So that's once a month.
Hashtag still not a podcast.
Not a podcast. Joe, how can we get a hold of you, and what are you on the internets?
Yeah, so just on YouTube, look up Joe Wags. I'm pretty much the prominent Joe Wags, all one word, type it in, you'll find me. And I'm the place for Dokkan and Defo, and if you really like the simple character guides, I host the Dokkan Battle podcast over on 5-9 Gaming with some pretty big name Dokkan content creators. I've hosted with Garesh and DeTruth and like all these big guys. Fun crew over there over at 5-9. So check out 5-9 Gaming for that. And then on Twitter, I am SpongeBob Joel13. Yes, I am a SpongeBob fan. If you want to see me interact with Defo, retweeting some Defo and some Dokkan stuff, pretty fun on there. So, yeah, that's basically where you can find me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my Discord here in the chat. Join my Discord if you need team building help on Defo or Dokkan or just want to chat. And I am active in there, so you can actually interact with me. And I'm going to try to stream more. I did one stream, and it was a lot of fun. I had 60 people in the stream. Loved it. It was fun. I'm definitely going to stream some more. So hope to see you guys there. I'm enjoying it. Thanks, Mark, for having me. It's been a pleasure. Very honored to be here.
Well, thank you both for stepping up and being willing to come on. I appreciate you taking time off your Thursday night to share. And thank you all for joining us. I will hopefully be able to make this a podcast. We will see how that works. It's a little when the video file gets corrupted, that's a little bit more difficult. But it's on YouTube right now and on Twitch. And hopefully I'll be able to salvage that and do my magic and get that up on the podcast, but might be a little bit late. So, hey, this has been episode 210 of the Crystal Chronicles, recorded October 27th, 2022. Happy Halloween. And we will see you all post Squex community stream next week, hopefully with Mino and myself, bringing you all your Defo news and talk. Until next time, friends, good luck. Goodbye. All right, we are still streaming, but we are in the post show at the moment. But yeah, thank you both very much. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun.
No, it was a lot of fun again. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, chat, for hanging out and figure out what the hell.
No, see if you can
I just have to buy a new computer every like year and a half, apparently. So yeah, I don't know if that's a weird reset that I haven't had a problem with recently. I might be something with Streamlabs, and I don't have the latest version of Windows on this computer, so I wonder if that's an issue too. So
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember who said it. It might have been Tree Void. Someone in the chat said, "I think Crevasse broke the internet. We need to bring back D2D."
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, Crevasse broke your computer.
That's right. Well, and also make sure you check out Joe's PSA returns. I'm going to be watching those this weekend.
Yes.
The boys and I will probably check that out tomorrow over dinner. That's what I watch in my free time. I don't watch a lot of TV, but man, PSA card returns, that is real high on. That is actually really high on my list.
Love watching 40-year-old dudes open up some children's trading cards, right?
That's PokeRev and Leonhardt. We watch. We are sub to Leonhardt and PokeRev. Leonhardt just did a Beckett because he does Beckett, which is ridiculous for Pokemon cards. Ridiculous. Like for like first edition base set Charizards, yes. Beckett is a real good way to do that. But for like random shit, like he was grading like terrible condition Pokemon cards.
Oh no.
You know, and they're like it's like $200 a card for Beckett to grade them with all the subcategories. Like,
yeah, you need to you only send to Beckett if you're going for Black Label, because if you get Black Label, you've got money. But man, they gotta be perfect to get Black Label, and it is expensive. You're right.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's expensive. You know, it's expensive to do any of them.
Right.
But yeah, generally speaking, you can get your money back if you play it right. So it will be interesting to see. I think I sent out a 20 card order. So and some of them I did.
Yeah.
Some of them are set aside to be sold. So
sure.
it will be interesting to see.
Kind of the strategy is like you grade stuff for your own collection, and then you grade stuff. Yeah. You grade stuff for your own collection, and then you grade stuff on the side to sell to offset the cost and like make your money back.
Yeah. So how many of the big bulk that you just got? How many are you going to keep? Like, what percentage do you think of those you're going to keep versus sell?
So there was a lot of personal in this one because there was a lot of Dragon. I'm trying to grade like every Dragon Ball SPR for my personal collection. Oh yeah. But I would say it's about 50-50. But I would say for this lot, you know, it's like a 220 something card lot. But on average, if I sold each card for like $50, which is pretty low, most of the cards are worth more than $50. But even if I only sold them for $50 a card, I would get like $11,000, and I paid $4,000. So wow, I mean, the money's there, right?
Yeah,
the money's there. I'm gonna make it. Basically, my goal is to make the $4,000 back while still keeping the half that I'm keeping for myself.
Right.
So, yeah, that's the plan.
Well, hey, maybe I think we're gonna have to figure out a way to do like Dragon Ball Super booster box opening challenge or something like that. That'd be a lot of fun. I think that'd be a lot of fun to do something like that. Yep. So we'll figure that out. Sure. We'll figure that out, and we'll see all of you. We'll see all of you next time. So hey, and guys, if I end this stream and the computer crashes, thanks. But